Before the digital age descended, the Dewey Decimal System and file cabinets full of small cards were the way most of us found library books we needed or loved. If perplexed and lost, there was always a friendly human librarian to guide us. Much has changed in library land. Sandra Singh is a librarian who also is a cybrarian in the online learning community. It is my pleasure to welcome Vancouver Public Library's Sandra Singh to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hi there.
Hi there. It's true. Were you alive when there was a Dewey Decimal System?
I was, and in fact, I'm on the International Editorial Policy Committee for the Dewey Decimal Classification System.
Really?
I am, yeah.
Well, tell me about that system, or tell people who weren't born when Dewey Decimals were the way to go.
Sure. Okay. So a classification system is basically a way of organizing knowledge and information so that we can find it better. So Dewey is based on the concept of tens and decimals, and so everything in the world, all of the knowledge in the world is fit into a number between 0 and 1,000 or 999.999. And so it's all organized in that way. So if you want to find something on information on Islam, you go to 297 point something, and if you want to find information on cookbooks, you would go to a number in the 600s. And so and whatever library you go to around the world that uses Dewey Decimal, you will find books on that same subject in that same number. So it's language independent. It's basically just a consistent system.
Wow. You know, there's something about going to a library when you're far away that is a bit consoling.
Yes.
You're all by yourself in Germany or France and Asia, and you find a library and they all kind of smell the same. I don't know what that's about, but you're all by yourself and you think, I'll go to the library. It feels safe and it smells like home.
Yeah, we hear that a lot from people. And in fact, we held a contest a few years ago where we invited British Columbians to tell us how their libraries had changed their lives. And there was one mother from the North Shore who described how she had moved around a lot when she was a child and she never had a sense of stability in her community. The first thing that she did, and throughout her entire childhood, whenever she moved to a new town, was she would find the library, because the library was where everything was familiar.
Yes, me too. And we had so much fun in university in the library. Yeah. We were doing more than studying.
Oh.
Don't you know? Well, that was a great place to meet boys.
It was, yeah.
It was, or boys to meet girls.
Yeah.
If you've seen love for just one moment.
Yeah, I was at UBC Library. We saw that a lot, yeah.
I bet. Okay, how did you get into the library business? How did you learn to do this?
Well, I have my master's in information studies, library and information studies, and I think what it was three things. One is that I've been a library user since we came to Canada when I was a child, and I remember my first library was a bookmobile, actually.
Really?
In Calgary.
I love the bookmobile.
Yeah, they were great.
Where did you live before?
I came from Fiji.
You came from Fiji?
Yeah, I'm Indo-Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then so there's that piece. Libraries are also fundamentally about social justice and equality, and ensuring that everyone in the community has access to the same information and the same opportunities for self-development. So I have a real strong sense of the importance of that type of equity and that commitment to social justice. So there's that, and as well the importance of information to a robust economy and democracy. And I think that we're all better as a community if we're informed and we make well-informed decisions. So those three just kind of fell together at university.
Sure. And, the more we read, the more we know, the better we operate.
Exactly.
It takes a village.
Exactly.
Or a library.
Exactly.
What is your job?
So,
I know you're the chief.
Yeah, so I'm the city
Chiefette.
librarian. Yep, the chief librarian for Vancouver Public Library. So we have 21 branches, including the beautiful Central Library downtown. We provide public library services to the entire community. We also have our virtual branch. So we have 10 million people borrow 10 million items a year from us, 6 million in-person visits, 4 million visits to our website every year. We answer 1 million reference questions and research questions every year.
Well, I said it cheekily in the introduction that you weren't quite as fast as Google.
No, I'm not answering those all on my own.
But maybe you are. Okay, but the library is owned by us, by the Vancouver residents, right?
Absolutely it is. So the library is owned by the community. We're governed by a citizen board that's appointed by the mayor and council. And so we really try to be community-led and community-driven in every decision that we make.
And when you get a complaint call, and I know everybody gets complaint calls, usually about what? What frustrates people in libraries?
Well,
what do they like?
Yeah.
What do they want more of?
Yeah, we have receive a range of compliments and a range of concerns. I think the current tension in libraries now is combining the need for to meet different learning styles in libraries. So a lot of people will come into the library, and what they remember of the library is that quiet, hushed place of their childhood. And in fact, libraries are a lot more active and engaging now. When we have children around the library, we have programs. People learn in different ways. Some people learn by quietly contemplating. Some people learn by discussing with other people. And so we're trying to manage that really delicate balance between meeting the needs of diverse patrons.
I would understand that. The quiet part is good, but then there's a lot of interaction in a library today.
Absolutely, exactly.
The librarian part of you, of your job.
So that was actually a previous position that I had at suite101.com. So back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was the head librarian for an online learning community called suite101.com. We were essentially an early Web 2.0 community of people around the world. We were based out of here in Vancouver, but people around the world who had expertise in a variety of subjects, and they were really interested in sharing that expertise. So we had grandparents who wanted to share about what it was like to be a grandparent, the lessons that they'd learned, the mistakes that they'd made. We had pediatricians who wanted to share about how to raise healthy children. And so they would come together online, they would write articles, they would select web links, and it was my job to organize it all, to create the architecture underlying it so that people could access the different articles, the different information.
Okay, so you have a bit of geek background.
I do.
Perhaps a lot of geek
background, yeah.
How could you be a librarian today without that?
I don't think you can. Everything that we do in libraries is fundamentally based on technology. So our I would say that the information and the digital revolution for information for the people like us, the average consumer of information, started in the mid-90s and I think it was HTTP which made networked information really friendly. And from there it just skyrocketed. And as you know, journal and magazine publishing moved online. Now we're heading into the age of digital books. Everything that we do is technology based now in libraries.
How will that change the structure? Because now there's a lot of books.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so as people bring in their smartphones, phones, their iPads, their Kindles, will they be able to download War and Peace? I guess you could, but can you use a device in a library today?
Yeah,
Is it allowed?
Absolutely. So we have extensive ebook collections online that you can take your device, you can download books to them using your library card. The publishing industry is really catching up right now to digital books, and it really accelerated in the past 6 months. And so I think the next couple of years are going to be really critical to see how the book publishing industry responds to digital books. And for libraries, that is something that we really need to be knitted into that whole discussion and process, because how they decide to sell and license material will have direct impact on us and how we can serve our communities.
If I wanted to access, say, the Canadian Encyclopedia, the Mel Hurtig encyclopedias, in the library, not in the library anymore.
Well, we have an extensive collection of electronic databases at the Vancouver Public Library, the largest of any British Columbian library. So you can go online to our website and search for articles in magazines, thousands of magazines, encyclopedias. We have it all. You can do it from home, you can do it from your office, you can do it from in the library.
Sure, because in the olden days, sometimes we had to smuggle a magazine out. If you had
I didn't hear that.
No, you didn't hear that, but we brought it back.
Yeah.
But, you have an essay to do, the library's closing, and you really need the article, and short of like ripping the article out of the magazine, which would be worse, it's under the coat and you're out, and then we bring it back the next day.
So now you can do it all from home.
You see? It's all changed.
It's all changed.
You're not only the youngest chief librarian in the country, you also have a big social justice button. Tell me what you're doing in Strathcona, the Ike Barber Foundation. Tell me what you're doing aside from books.
Okay. So in Strathcona, we're just delighted. For the library board for the last 10 years has been trying to receive approval to build a full-service library in the downtown Eastside Strathcona neighborhoods. It was the last neighborhood in Vancouver to not have a full-service library, so we're delighted that we received approval in October from City Council to go ahead with the planning of the library. What they also told us, though, was to try to find housing. to partner up with the library. So we are really fortunate that Dr. Penny Ballum, the city manager,
Right.
Has worked in the province's extensive connections. She connected us with the YWCA, and so we were just about 2 weeks ago now. We announced that we'll be building that library with supported housing provided by the YWCA for single mothers and their children. Yeah,
How great.
We're delighted.
So
yeah.
hook them on books, hook
Yes,
them on
exactly,
reading.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's such an important thing, as
It
you
is.
know. I'm
is.
sure you were an avid reader as a child. I
Was.
shouldn't be sure, but
Yeah.
were you?
I was, absolutely, yeah. I started with my mother reading storybooks to me when I was a child, to signing out my own books and reading, and really that was
Right.
part of my life.
And great philanthropist in BC, Ike Barber,
Yes.
Irving K. Barber Learning Center,
Right.
UBC. What's
Right.
happening there?
Okay, so just prior to joining Vancouver Public Library, I was the director of the Irving K. Barber Learning Center at UBC. And what Mr. Barber came back to UBC with a really strong intent to contribute to learning across the province. And so he said to UBC, I want to build a learning center. I want to evolve libraries into the libraries of the future. And the UBC really was interested in that vision. They had a similar vision. Mr. Barber added something onto it, and that was it can't just be for UBC, it can't just be for Vancouver, it has to be for the entire province. So the Learning Center has a mandate to be a learning center for the province of British Columbia, which is quite significant and really ambitious.
Very
Yeah,
much so.
yeah.
Former librarian Paul Whitney
Yes.
had been there quite a few years. Did he give you any advice? Okay, now you're
Yeah.
the chief librarian. Here's what will happen.
So Paul just retired as the city librarian at Vancouver, and I'm fortunate to have had him as a mentor for my entire career. So his advice was read the news every day, which I do anyway, which is great. And he, what Paul is I think Paul is one of the great bookmen. He is one of those people that has read extensively and still reads extensively, and I do as well. However, mine is sprinkled with kids' books as well, since I have a child. But yeah, his words of advice were, steady as she goes, one step after another, and keep your eye on the future.
And when librarians get together globally, and I
Yes,
know you do that,
we do, yeah.
The future of the library.
Yeah, so I think that the future of the library is going to look different. The public library will likely look different in each community. I think we're facing a future where each community is going to need to decide how is our library going to uniquely contribute to our community's sustainability development and to the lives of the members. I think some public libraries are going to say, okay, you know what, our unique contribution in this world is deep research. Some are going to say, we're going to be the cultural hub of the community. Some are going to say, we're the intellectual center, where all the thinking and the mulling over civic issues comes into play. And some are going to be about children, and some will do a little bit of everything.
Sure.
So I think we'll see what Vancouver
Exactly.
evolves
Well,
into.
so many of the writers who come to Studio 4 are having an event
Yeah.
at the library.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so wonderful because you not only get to read them, you get to meet them and talk with them and have some dialogue
Yeah.
and make some changes. For the blind people at the library,
Right.
are there blind tapes?
Yeah, so we have what we call outreach services, and that's our services for people with print disabilities. So we do have a lot of spoken word books and spoken word materials. We also have a home visitation service for people that can't come to the library. We take materials to them. So we do have extensive services for
great.
people with print disabilities.
And do we still have bookmobiles?
We have the Story Bus, and so our Story Bus is funded by the Vancouver Public Library Foundation, which we rely on for fundraising and to help us with some of our special and additional programming. And the Story Bus does go around the city with children's programs.
Really?
Yeah.
How
yeah,
great!
Yeah.
I loved when the bookmobile would come through the
Me too.
neighborhood, and
Yeah.
there was the ice cream truck too.
Yeah.
But then there was the bookmobile, which
bookmobile.
was. You
Yeah.
couldn't take your ice cream in.
No, you couldn't. But it was it was a world of ideas.
It was
on
always
wheels.
great. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you're enjoying this.
I love it.
You love it.
Love it.
And what fascinating work. Every day you learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing is the community. You walk into the Vancouver Public Library Central Branch, and you see people from all walks of
Sure.
life.
And
from
now
the
you can get a
community.
coffee.
Exactly.
Hey, nice to see you.
Thanks so much.
Nice
Just
to
a
meet
pleasure.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sandra Singh, she is the fairly new city librarian, chief librarian in Vancouver.